6 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. Hope you're doing well. You like National Geographic? Who doesn't like National Geographic? It's an awesome magazine. And now that we've got things called Kindles, etc., I like looking at magazines on Kindle, by the way. I don't know why. I still like the actual magazine, though, especially National Geographic. It's just something about that magazine. Elizabeth Royte is on the phone. She has the cover story of this month's National Geographic. She's a writer on science and the environment. She has also, in addition to National Geographic, she's contributed to a bunch of different publications, Harper's being one, the New York Times, Outside, contributing editor on Earth. She's a recipient of the Bard College's John Dewey Award for Distinguished Public Service and a former Alicia Patterson Foundation Fellow, as well as a best-selling author, which you probably could have guessed. The feature story is titled The High Cost of Food Waste Worldwide and the Staggering Number of People That Could Have Been Fed. Boy, you don't need to hear much more than that, and you know it's true. You see people throwing away food at the restaurants. You see so much food waste. It's unbelievable. Elizabeth Royte, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you.
And where are you? Where are you calling from?
I am speaking to you from Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Yay.
I love Brooklyn. There's a lot of food in Brooklyn. A lot of wasted food. Do you know, I used to work as a dishwasher when I didn't have a real job yet. And I remember one of the things I had to do was to clean the plates into this barrel, and that uneaten food from the restaurant was actually brought to a farm and it was used to feed pigs.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that was using it, I guess, in a good way, huh?
That's much better than sending it to a landfill, yes.
Yeah,
and even better than composting it. You probably know there's a food waste hierarchy, and what you do with edible food is move it to people who are hungry, and if you can't get it to them, then you move it to animals, and then it's the composting and the digesting. So,
and there used to be a program. I want to hear about the article and the research you did for the article. But there used to be a program here, and I don't want to name the grocery stores because I'm not sure. Probably wouldn't be fair to say them also. Anyway, but it would have been a good thing if I named them, because they had this program where the bread that didn't get sold from their bakery was donated to the local food. What do you call them?
The food banks.
Food banks.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that, Robin?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It was a really good program.
So I don't know if they could have done that with the left, but I guess in the bakery world, I guess once you're done with the day, you're done with that food you made that day, right?
And groceries move a lot of food to food banks, and food banks have an abundance. I looked into this a little. It's great that everyone wants to have some bread or pastries, but that the food banks are inundated with that kind of stuff, and they're really looking for more fresh food and fruits and vegetables and protein and dairy products. So I don't want to,
I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, you don't want to badmouth the bread, but at the same time, they need more than bread.
Right.
There's the parable or something, right? Life, whatever. Yeah. So tell me what you researched and how you became interested in this topic.
I became interested in this when I was working on a book called Garbage Land on the Secret Trail of Trash, in which I followed different streams of waste from my curb to their final resting place. And I started quantifying everything that was in my trash can. I was trying to lighten my garbage footprint, and I realized there was a lot of heavy, wet, smelly food in there. Some of it was inedible, but some of it could have been eaten. And so I started composting that food so it wouldn't go to landfill, because in a landfill, food generates methane, which is a potent greenhouse gas. But I started learning more about how much food we're wasting and what its social toll is, its economic toll. In my story in Geographic, it starts with a photograph of a family of four, and a typical family of four in the United States trashes about 1,100 pounds of edible food a year, and that's valued at $1,400. So it's costing us, and there's a huge environmental toll we can talk about also, what it takes to grow all the food, the inputs that are squandered when we throw food away.
So do we need to change the behaviors of the individual, the behaviors of the larger organizations and corporations, or both?
Everything. All along, food is lost or wasted all the way from farms to post-harvest in distribution, processing, and at the retail level, and in our refrigerators. But in the U.S., the biggest chunk of food waste happens with us, at the consumer level. That's where this 30% comes from. 30% of all our food, 133 billion pounds a year.
Wow.
So we need to change. First, we need to raise our awareness. We need to educate ourselves about what it's costing us.
So maybe here's the part that I need explained to me. If I take the wasted food that I have, and instead of putting it in the garbage, I put it into what do you call it? Mulch? What do you call that in the garden? Compost. Compost. Okay. I've done something instead of putting it into the landfill, so that I've taken care of my contribution to the methane that you referenced earlier, I think. Or am I still creating methane in my yard? I don't know. But let me just finish the question. How does that help feed somebody who needs food?
That doesn't. What we need to do is reduce the amount of edible food that doesn't get eaten. So it's great to compost, but it's a far better thing to reduce the waste in the first place, making more food available for other people. Don't buy food that you're not going to eat. And wasting food also can raise food prices if it's a complicated thing. But do you want to talk about what individuals can do?
Yeah. I'm trying to get the big picture as well as the individual picture. If we donate money, for example, to a food bank or to anybody who distributes food and actually makes food. We have this calendar that just came out, this catalog called Samaritan's Purse. It's Billy Graham's son puts this out every year. And you can send $20 and it'll get like 50 gallons of milk to some village somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So there's 805 million people hungry around the world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of groups that would like to help these people. The food is out there, but it costs money to collect the food and to keep it cold and to distribute it. A lot of the food that might be donated isn't always the healthiest, and so these groups actually need cold, hard cash in order to go out to the market, to the farmers, and buy the fruits and vegetables, to buy the dairy products. So money is needed.
And we hear a lot about different ways to garden, whether you live in a large, abundant land area with not enough houses, but in a place like where you live in Brooklyn, where there are a lot of houses. It's square gardening is what we were told. Can that help alleviate some of the problem? Because when you garden, you raise your own vegetables. That's part of the healthy foods that are grown that could be given to people.
Right. There's so growing your own food or buying from a local farmer is great because the food chain is shorter, so the food has more life in it by the time it gets to you, as opposed to the lettuce that came to the East Coast. It was harvested 5 or 8 days ago in California. It has less shelf life on it. So, number one, it's fresher. Number two, you can buy or grow or get the quantity that you want. And in terms of overabundance, any farmer or backyard gardener knows there's a time of year when you have too much of everything. But there are great ways to share that food. Social media has really leaped into this. There's ampleharvest.org. You go online and find out who's got too much zucchini or who's got an abundance of peppers, and you can hook up with these people very easily to trade food or give food away. People who have fruit trees, whether they're street trees or on private property, you go to neighborhoodfruit.com and you list what fruit you have, when it will be in abundance, and it allows people to come and pick that fruit, either for themselves or to bring it to food banks or pantries.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I have an entire orange tree.
Yeah.
That has a lot of green oranges on it right now, and the gardening people tell me they'll be orange in like a month. So I need to sign up for one of these. So is there somebody here in this? So how does this work? Do I pick them and then send them, or do they come over and pick them?
You don't have to do anything except go online and register your tree and give some coordinates and tell. I think you get to list when you will let people in to take the fruit. You can control it. So it's neighborhoodfruit.com.
Neighborhood fruits, plural?
No, fruit, singular.
Neighborhoodfruit.com. Okay. Let me, something really usable that I could actually use here.
Yeah.
Yeah. My neighbor has a bunch of bananas, but I think he wants to keep them. I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Let me take a couple of phone calls. Are you okay with taking phone calls?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth Royte is our guest. Good morning. You're on the air with Elizabeth. Thank you for calling. Are you there?
Gone.
Somebody decided, I don't know what that was. But anyway, I love the fact that I could use that information. We have to take a little break right now, so let's do that, and then we'll be right back with Elizabeth. I want to find out more. All of a sudden, it became very exciting because I suddenly realized what I can do with all those oranges.
That's right.
Right? I'll keep a few for myself, but there's no way I'm going to eat that many oranges.
Not a whole tree full.
Yeah, the trees.
No, they're huge.
Elizabeth, you wouldn't believe how many oranges I have.
That's great. You can feed people. You can make juice. You can freeze your juice. There's a lot of ways to preserve or spread the wealth.
All right, I want to hear more. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Some fog patches this morning, otherwise sunshine mixing with clouds today and warm. Watch out for a shower or thunderstorm this afternoon, the high 82 to 86. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm in the area. Lows will range from the upper 50s in the northwest part of the zone to 66 in the southeast part. And for tomorrow, becoming partly sunny with lower humidity to highs in the upper 70s to near 80. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
Your weekends are getting a little retooled.
Swear to God, not making a joke.
Check this out. New shows? Check. Some new talent? Check. Let's welcome the guys.
Let's get it going.
Arnie Spanier.
Unbelievable.
TJ Reeves.
This is what you get.
Your weekends are on fire.
Because that's how exotic it is.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY, only $4.99. Plus, DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
All right, 19 minutes after 10 o'clock. We have so many different things that we do to try to help people who need food. There's a train show coming up that the Lions Club is involved with, and they're asking you if you bring a can of food, they'll take $1 off the $4 price that they're selling tickets for. At my mom's church, my mom has passed away, but the church is still there. And at their church, they're always collecting food.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's not unusual. I'm guessing churches do this a lot.
Yep, they
Churches,
do.
synagogues. I don't mean to stick to one religion. Elizabeth Royte just gave me a way to give away the food that I have. The oranges on the tree next to my house. and you want to know something, Elizabeth? We actually have had people just kind of knock on the door knowing that it's, they probably pass every day and they say, well, this guy's not picking in his oranges. So they will actually ask me, and I've had a couple of ladies out there, and I said, sure, go ahead. I hate to see them get to waste,
Sure.
Even the squirrels. There's too many even for the squirrels, so.
No, that's great, and it makes you feel good too, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. So the article is in National Geographic. That's got to be cool for you to get the cover story.
Yeah, it's online, so it's kind of hard to tell what is on the cover. There is so much content up there. The magazine has done this series for 8 months called The Future of Food, and they've got a food. There's this natgeofood.com is where you find all of this pulled together, and there's photos, there's interactives, there's videos, there's the famous charts and graphs, and it's kind of overwhelming. There's so much incredible material at that site. But yes, that is where you'll see my story.
So if I were to embark on the assignment that you did, I would have something in my mind that I thought I would discover. Did you, and was the actual discovery different than what you expected to discover?
Oh, I did a lot of research ahead of time. I gleaned from others' research, and I read a lot of statistics. I guess one kind of surprising thing, you read about this waste and you say, oh, it's a terrible shame, it's a crime. But, no one really wants to waste food, and it's eye-opening to see how it happens upstream. I got to visit farms, and farmers typically overplant by 10%, which seems like a tremendous waste. But there's really good reasons that they do this, economic reasons. They also walk by fields. They don't harvest them when it costs more to harvest the food than they'll get back if the market is low or saturated. So there's all kinds of interesting economic things, but there's also really interesting physical things that happen on farms that lead to food waste. And one of these was at a farm in North Carolina, a whole field of beautiful yellow squash. There was a breeze that day, and the wind was blowing the leaves of the squash across the fruit, or the vegetable. And the farmer said to me, you see that those leaves are scratchy, and every time they cross the fruit, they're making a line, and you can't see it. But in 2 days, after I harvest this, those are going to show up as brown lines, and that's going to make this yellow squash unsellable. So it was the field was going to be a loss unless he could find someone willing to take cosmetically imperfect yellow squash.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
And does he have the ability to find people? Because I'm sure I remember there was ugly tomatoes. You could get ugly tomatoes very, very cheap. All of a sudden, ugly tomatoes became in vogue.
Yeah.
And now they cost more.
Yeah, they're like $4 a pound.
So that's what you need to do. We need to make it like blemishes are good. Like have a campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a campaign. Actually, it's the fastest growing segment of the fresh produce industry is ugly fruit and vegetables because people are becoming aware of this. Some
really?
stores sell the first run produce, and they will discount things that are imperfect or have too much curve or are too big or too small. But other retailers feel that if you mark some things down, it will cannibalize sales of the full price goods. But you asked a question about this squash farmer. I asked him, well, can't you get this to someone who want it? And he said, I'm out here on a farm. I am working my butt off, 23 hours a day to harvest the stuff in time and fulfill my contracts. I don't have the trucks or the time or the money to deliver it to someone and to a secondary market. And there was no instant quick freeze facility nearby, because that's another market for imperfect fruit or vegetables. Cut it up, cut off the blemishes, cut it up, freeze it, and put it in a bag. It's a great way to make use of things that are subprime. But you've got to be able to get it to these facilities, and they need to have space to take it. And the freezing factories have their own schedules. They're doing berries now. They're doing this. They're doing that. They have only so much space, and they assign it to their regular contracts. So there's push and pull issues all over the place that contribute to these massive amounts of food waste.
When workers go overseas to help communities over in different countries get a garden going and things like that, how can they ensure that the people that are living over there really wants this in the first place? And if they do want it, how can they ensure that the people will take their lessons to heart and keep flourishing so they can be self-sustaining and we don't have to send over packages of rice and powdered milk and things like that?
Well, that's a big question, a little beyond the scope of my story, but we, American aid workers, non-governmental organizations, and even environmental groups are helping farmers overseas to grow more food, and there's been some success for that. But a problem that I highlight in my piece is that now that they're growing more food, they haven't had much practice storing the food for longer. Now they have a surplus. The problem in the developing world, where they're also wasting a third of the food, is on this farm and post-harvest end. They don't have adequate roads or trains to get their food to market in a timely way. They don't have an adequate cooling system. They don't have simple things like crates. They don't have silos to protect all this newly grown grain from rodents and mold and insects. And so this is a point of an opportunity for huge fixes. The the Food and Agriculture Organization gave 18,000 small metal silos to farmers in Afghanistan, and they had been losing 20% of their cereal grains, and they cut it down to less than 2% by teaching them to use these, by distributing and teaching them how to use these silos. Also, great successes just putting tomatoes in crates instead of bagging them, or having triple layer sacks for cowpeas is extending the life of this food and getting it to market where the people really need nutritious food.
Wow. Elizabeth Royte is our guest, and we're talking about the food waste worldwide and how we as individuals can help and how farmers can we can help farmers. There's probably a few different things we can learn. The article is in National Geographic this month. And Elizabeth, the phone is ringing. I've got people wanting to say hi or ask a question. Are you okay with taking calls?
Yes.
All right, let me take a couple of these. I have somebody who's been waiting a little while already. Good morning. Thank you for waiting, by the way. You're on the air now with Elizabeth Royte.
Good morning, Elizabeth. We talk about our food waste in this country. I remember as a kid, you used to get your milk in a milk bottle. When you emptied the milk bottle, you rinsed it out and you put it back in the milk box, and it was picked up, recycled. Today, I think it's against the law to do that. There's actually laws prohibiting more efficient use of containers and things that we put our food in. And number two, you have other laws that pertain to restaurants. Once something is opened, it's either consumed by the person that opened it, or it has to be thrown away.
Gotcha, yes. So just don't blame the people. Let's blame the government that's ruling the people. And I say that literally because I think we're losing our democracy. I'll hang up and listen to your response to that. Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, thank you for the call. That is a good point. Elizabeth, do we need to change the laws?
Well, I think, so these are health laws, and I'm kind of glad that they're there protecting me from someone else's bread that they've been, handling. But there are other things that we can do. Restaurants can serve smaller portions. We have this whole culture of abundance, and that the food keeps coming and it's always there, and restaurants want their diners to feel good, so they're not bringing out 3 pieces of bread for 3 people at the table, they're bringing more. But if we change that mindset, we might be able to cut down on waste. Food that doesn't come out of the kitchen can be donated to pantries and food banks. There are many, many groups that come and pick up this food and distribute it. I just heard about a new one, 0%.us, where even if it's a small amount of food, cars come, usually organized through Uber, and deliver it pick it up at times convenient for the restaurant and bring it to food banks.
Oh, really?
So what I like about this conversation is there are some very easy and usable ideas that we can become involved in. Let me squeeze in one quick phone call. We've got less than a minute. I apologize for making you wait. Thank you for waiting, though. Real quickly, you've got less than a minute.
Okay, thanks a lot. I can go real quick here. I come from a past generation where your mother said, eat all your food on your plate because the kids in China are starving. We have a lot of food pantries in town that accept food all year round. The thing that I kind of corks me a little bit is, why is the big push for feeding people at Christmas time? They're hungry all year round, like they're just as hungry on the 4th of July as they are December 25th. Why is that?
Yeah, that is an interesting point, yeah.
People get involved then because, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
People have a little free time at Christmas. They want to volunteer and food, but all year round, my main point, these groups need money to get healthy food for their clients all year round. You're absolutely right.
The work that you're doing is raising awareness, and that is outstanding. I think you've raised awareness for everybody listening to you right now. So, and we're probably all going to say, you know what, she's right. I got to stop doing this and that, and maybe do that, and I'll get somebody over to pick those oranges. Before we say goodbye, do you have a website? Is it just nationalgeographic.com?
Yes, that is a vast website, but if you want more food focus, go to netgeofood.com.
Netgeo, like G-O or G-E-O?
G-E-O.
NatGeo.com. Okay.
National Geographic. Nat Geo.
Oh, Nat. Okay. Nat. N-A-T. All right. Elizabeth, thank you for being on the air with us today. And I got to get that other website so I can get people to pick my fruit.
Good.
Neighborhood.
I'm going to have to get a ladder. They're going to need a ladder. It's a little bit. And there's thorns in that tree. I never knew.
Yeah.
Orange trees have thorns. Elizabeth Royte, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. That was very good information.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All right. We will be right back.
Looking for a Medicare Part D plan? Join Express Scripts Medicare. You'll get personalized service from a dedicated team to help you save money and protect your health.
Express Scripts Medicare advisors like me can help you save money on your prescriptions.
As an Express Scripts pharmacist, I'm here to answer questions about your medications anytime, even in the middle of the night.
Get the quality and service excellence you deserve in a Medicare plan. Call an Express Scripts Medicare advisor today. That way you'll be ready when enrollment begins on